This is Confidence from the 1% Podcast, and I'm back with a new co-host, Tinashe Mlanda, and you're gonna be seeing him from one episode to the other. And today we're gonna be talking about the ongoing pandemic, coronavirus, its effect in Zimbabwe and globally. So yeah, Tinashe, welcome to the 1% Podcast.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, and would you care to introduce yourself?
All right. That's probably one of the hardest things to do, to introduce yourself. All right, my name is Tinashe. I don't know, man. I've got an opinion about anything and everything. So let's get this on. Like, I think I'd rather people know me from the podcast.
Okay. Makes sense, but you okay. We'll roll from there, and then maybe people can want people to make a judgment based on what you're going to be saying.
Exactly. It's the best way to know somebody, isn't it? Judge someone by their intelligence.
All right, no problem. So let's dive right into it. The coronavirus, it's an ongoing pandemic, and according to statistics right now, it has claimed about 34,813 lives globally, and there are new cases that have been reported. I think they're now totaling to about 735,000 cases. And somehow other people say the numbers might be big because China might have hidden a lot of the deaths that occurred in China. Yeah. So that's where we are. What do you think about the ongoing pandemic?
It's a mess. It's a mess, man. Like, it's even hard to start commenting just by asking what I think. I think we're in for a fix. The whole world is in for a fix, and looks like right now nobody has a plan. Although we've had time to plan, really. To be honest, I think it's largely a failure of leadership, because we've had time to plan.
Okay.
After seeing only China didn't have time to plan because this just hit them by surprise. But for everybody else, we knew this was coming.
Okay.
So I think there's just a huge failure of leadership worldwide. Yeah.
Yeah, but right now, different presidents in different countries are pointing fingers at each other, and it seems like most leaders are now pointing fingers to China. Right? We talk about Donald Trump. He's naming the virus the Chinese virus. And I think I do agree with Donald, because whatever he's saying is based on facts. Because this virus started last year, and China didn't alarm people about the pandemic until it got out of hand. So would you agree that China is to blame for this?
I don't know, man. All right, so I'll start with the part where Donald is calling it. Okay, Mr. Trump is calling it the Chinese virus. That could be racist in a way, but at the same time, that could also be, just. I mean, we have the Spanish flu. Nobody says anything about that. There's nothing racist about that. But about blaming China, like I wouldn't blame China for anything, really. Okay.
Why would you say so?
Right, they failed in the same way that everybody else is failing right now.
Yeah, but you do understand that there is a doctor who gave an alarm a while ago, specifically I think between November and December. He gave an alarm of a new virus that he had discovered from a patient, right? But instead of China telling the world about this or informing other people about this, they decided to arrest this guy and silence him.
So
why
here's
would you
what
silence somebody about the virus?
What they did was they undermined the threat that was there, right? Because it was coming from, I don't know how many cases, maybe 100 cases that this guy knew, right? So it was like, it goes back to what I said. It's a failure of leadership. It's the same thing. Now it's actually even worse for someone like Donald Trump, because he's seen thousands of people dying from this disease, but only until, I don't know, is it this morning or yesterday, did he show an appreciation of, like, he didn't show an appreciation of how big the threat is, right?
Okay.
Like, the data was right in his face. It was right in everybody's face. Dozens of professionals were telling him, you know what, the threat is here. Same with our leadership even, but like, I don't even want to go there, but it's just the same failure that every other president is making now. Like, and the ones who are failing to appreciate that threat now are actually worse than the Chinese. Because the Chinese were coming from nowhere. They didn't have data on this disease. They didn't, know about this disease. We know about this disease. We've seen it for months now. But still, we just don't want to accept what it is. I don't know who's to blame there.
But I do agree with what you're saying, that leaders to some extent were ignorant to this issue. Mm-hmm. But what if China is trying to play the victim here, when they could have actually created the virus and make it start from China and spread into the rest of the world? That's another way of looking at it.
I don't even want to. To be honest, you know me. I'm not a conspiracy theory person. Look, man, there have been dozens of pandemics in history. Diseases come and go. Like, we started off with the United States created HIV, and now we're at China created the coronavirus. I mean, yes, I'm not absolutely totaling the idea, which is maybe there's some foul play behind the scenes, but I think it's a remote chance. Looking at history, I think it's a remote chance.
So, okay. So you're saying that there is no chance that China created this virus?
I'm saying there's a remote chance.
Okay. I get it. Yeah, so the virus is taking a toll in countries like Italy right now. In fact, the whole of Europe. And some sad news that are coming out. A lot of people, I think Italy now has recorded more deaths than China actually.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, and I saw one video. The nurses and doctors at one hospital had given up on their patients. They said we can no longer do it because, well, the day before yesterday, I think about 51 doctors are reported to have died or to have succumbed to coronavirus. Which is so it now comes back to China right now no longer has the virus in short, and I don't know, their economy right now is coming back to normal. We have Italy, we have the United States. The world stock market is falling down. But China is doing the opposite. And so my question then is, what do you see as the impact of coronavirus? What do you think is the impact?
The impact on
the world's economy, basically, because we have one country that was the first to have this coronavirus. Their economy was affected just a little bit.
I see where you're taking me.
No, we just want to come back also to the fact that you are saying that China is not to blame for this.
Okay, all right, that's okay. I get your point 100%. Right, but again, we had a way to avoid this. It's not like after we knew about this disease, there was no way out. There was a way out, but we didn't take it.
But you understand that coronavirus does not spread like any other like virus that we've seen before. Like it takes an average of 14 days for you to start showing some signs that you really have the virus. Right? So it means that it can spread through 1,000 people in a week without anybody's knowledge.
Yeah. Like, and when did we get to know this?
I think people became aware around February.
Around January, we already knew.
Yeah, we can say January, but
Wuhan was locked down. Wuhan was locked down before the end of January, right? And they locked it down because they understood how it spreads.
Okay.
Which means by then the whole world knew there's this thing that's coming, and this is how it spreads, and it's going to be coming to our countries through the airports. But you know what we did?
Okay.
We left people to come into our airports. We left people coming into our countries. Is that not a failure of leadership? We didn't do enough tests. I don't know if there's tests in Zimbabwe right now, but in February, I know this guy whose mom was in China. She came back from China, went into Zambia. She says she had started tests in Zambia, like they tested this, whatever they were testing. And then when she came to Zimbabwe, she just walked in. Like she was walking into the bathroom. She just came in. So I don't see why we should keep blaming China or trying to look where this thing originated from. Like, it's here. What are you doing about it?
Yeah, I think people are now starting to realize the effect of this virus.
But it's too late.
It is too late. But then you're asking the question that, what are we doing about it right now?
No. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. My question is, what are you doing about it? But it's applying to back then in January when we understood how the disease spreads. Like, what did we do about it? We did nothing. We sat and we watched the news. Everybody sit and they watch the news. It's just like right now, people know this thing is here, but we're all watching the news. We all know how people are dying in Italy, but someone is still going to a party. That's exactly what we did on a national level.
Okay.
Right? So we were out on a party when we knew what was coming our way. So I mean, I don't care where it came from. Honestly, I don't care who created the disease. I don't know. It's about sanctions, or China created it, or I don't know. Like you could have any opinion about where this came from, but you know what? That doesn't matter anymore. Like, we had time to prepare.
Okay, yeah, I do understand. But one thing that I also noticed was like how the countries that were affected were not really educating other countries about how to quickly react to this pandemic. Like, you see, Italians were told weeks before to stay at home. Nobody should go out. They were told they had to lock down the country, but they didn't listen to any of that advice, right? Because everybody was just saying, I don't think it will get to me. I don't think it will get me. The same thing with Africa. Here in Zimbabwe, you would hear people talking about it does not kill Africans. Like, it doesn't. It's so funny until we had somebody taken by coronavirus, that's when everybody was like, "Oh, we need to take some action." You see, which also supports your point that it's a failure of leadership. I do agree with you on that. But then let's take it to Africa now. I was looking at South Africa. It looks like they've done a very good measure. They've put in good measures to make sure that they can slow down the spreading of coronavirus. But then now, it looks like their armed forces are not really educated about how coronavirus really spreads. Because you see the police are walking from door to door, telling people to get back into the house. Like, it's so funny. I saw this other policemen getting into somebody's yard. They started fighting. The was like, you can potentially spread the coronavirus while you're fighting someone in their yard. You know, they are in their yard. Why should you force somebody to get back into the house and lock the doors? It's not like it's that serious. So I think there's a lack of education about how this issue should be handled.
Yeah, so that's true. That is true, but I wouldn't want to use one video as evidence of what every one of them is doing, because I don't know. I can't advocate for them or anything, but I think we're probably talking about the same video. It gives you, when you watch that one video, I think there's a bias. One of the biases, I think, is the availability bias. Like, once you watch one video, you think that that's what's happening everywhere else. So I'd imagine that they've been educated to some extent. And then just going back to what you said before, you said that the countries that have been hit are not educating other countries enough. That's not their responsibility. That's not their job, honestly.
No, but I get it. But like, you can share. That's the use of social media. Right now, we're getting some doctors that making videos, holding placards, and then they have these placards that say "Stay home for us."
Because here's the thing:
we cannot go home.
Every country that's been hit by coronavirus is overwhelmed. Every country that's been hit enough to have to send out a warning, that's been hit enough to understand how big this is overwhelmed right now by its own issues. Like, they can't be focusing on educating everybody else about this, about something that we can see. I mean, confidence, you know the threat of coronavirus. You understand the threat of coronavirus.
But people are stubborn. People are stubborn, right? Like, right now, I was reading on Twitter that actually right now in Zimbabwe, in Harare, there's a few money changers that are in town, like as we speak, right? So there are a few people who are stubborn.
Yeah, we're idiots.
They don't listen.
We're idiots, which is why government should take things into their own hands, which is why they had to do something like implement a lockdown, because we are idiots. Like, we're just stupid. We're plain stupid. Yeah. I mean, I had a friend who told me yesterday that he wanted to come for drinks at the house. I'm like, what the dude? And the funniest thing is, he says, I want to come to your house for drinks, but I don't want to use public transport because there's corona. Dude.
But like, it's really funny right now because of the lockdown, a lot of people have been left with nothing to do. Talk about the past 2 days. Mbara Musika was loaded with people
tagged
going back to their rural homes.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, which is something like that the government should have considered, because Well, a measure that works in Italy or that works in the United States does not work in Africa. I think our leaders should have came up with solutions that work for Zimbabwe. Because right now, let's speak about the lockdown, right? In Zimbabwe, there are people who live in houses where they are, should I say, squashed, or where they live probably 6 to 10 people in one room, right?
Yeah.
And in those areas, you cannot tell people to stay inside doors. 10 people in one room, 10 men in one room. There's definitely gonna be a fight at the end of the day. You know, so what could have been done then differently? Maybe
I was about to ask you the same question. Because you said that you feel like they should have found a solution that's tailored for Zimbabwe.
For Zimbabwe, yeah. All right.
Because here's the most important thing about any solution is that it should be tailored at solving the problem. Like that's the biggest tailoring that you have to do. You should tailor it to solve the problem, right?
True.
Now, sad thing about life is the moment you solve one problem, you're creating another, right? And then you need to solve that other problem. Just because you created another problem, it doesn't mean that the first solution was wrong. Like every solution is gonna have a problem of its own, right? If you're poor and then you work and you make money, like making money is a solution to your poverty, but then now you have to deal with the pressure of long hours and all of that. That's another problem that you need to solve. So I'm just saying that to say, I don't think locking down people is wrong, right? But what we do after locking down is what we need to then start considering. Because, I mean, there are people who are going to be hit hard by this, by a lockdown. Like, economically, it's bad. There are a lot of people who depend on, who make money that will feed them for the day or two. And so it's gonna be nasty for them. It's nasty for those people. I don't think that makes the lockdown wrong, but I think that makes it necessary to come up with a measure to find out, now we have this problem, how do we solve it? We need food to be delivered to these people. We're very good at delivering maize and mealie meal and all of that at certain periods of the electoral calendar. We could do that now. Like we really could use that maize now. We really could use that meal now.
Which is what I was thinking also, that the lockdown works for certain areas, right? There's a certain area where the lockdown can work. Talk about medium density, even including high density suburbs and the low density suburbs, right? But there are those places that the government was supposed to kind of look at and think differently. And this is what I think the government should have done. If they had looked at that places, they should have created somehow temporary shelters that people can move into, so that they can decongest those areas that are, that are squashed, that have a lot of people. Talking of places like Bari, right? And then the next phase then will be what you're suggesting, that distribution of food to all those people who are vulnerable due to this pandemic. And then those who are in places where they can still social distance but have difficulties in maintaining their lives for the next 21 days, then they could also chip in by providing food to those people. I think that way we can then safely say everything will be in control, in better control, should I say.
So do you know the saddest part about this thing? The saddest and the part that complicates everything the most is that the areas that will that will be affected most by the lockdown are the same areas that will be affected most by COVID-19.
Okay.
Right. So you said we should have tailored this depending on the area, right? So, like, on average, right, the what do they call it? The SARS-2, the coronavirus. A person who's infected will spread it to 2 people on average, basing on models that have been. I think it's John Hopkins that's built that model. An average person will spread it to 2 people, but that's an average, right? That's an average because there are other people who spread it to 1 person, and there are people who won't spread it to anyone, and there are people who spread it to 30 people. Do you know where that person who spreads it to 30 people is? He's in a high density area, because you sneeze and then your like, I think they say there are 10,000 drops in a cough. When you cough, you let out 10,000 droplets or something like that.
Okay. You
cough in a high density area and it's definitely landing on someone. It's unlike if you're in a mansion in Borodale, like you're coughing on your own, or So those places that will be worst affected by the lockdown are the ones that will be most affected by COVID, which makes the problem even bigger. Like I said, like, the solution builds another problem, but we have to do it. We have to lock people down, because so far it's the only solution the whole world has against coronavirus.
Okay.
Yeah, so,
well,
I know I'm not suggesting any solutions, but but yeah, it's hard.
It's not you only. I'm sure even the leaders don't have any solutions right now. Like, if things are to get worse, because I foresee a situation where the lockdown is gonna take more than 21 days. Because it's not like coronavirus said, guys, I'll be coming for 21 days, so stay.
Yeah, true.
Right?
Yeah, true.
We don't know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's a situation where they should be right now considering all the possible options of what's going to happen and coming up with solutions if the worst is to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is what our leaders need to do at the moment. So
they've done that. They've given you a solution. They've given you a solution. Use US dollars.
Data. I don't know where does that come in. I don't know. Maybe you can explain to me, because I was dead confused. I didn't want to talk about it, but maybe you can explain to me. Where are USDs coming in?
Okay. I don't know, okay. Just use them. You'll see. Just use them. You'll see.
I thought you were like Magud. I thought you had the same. You studied the same things with these guys.
Nah, no, use them. You'll see.
All right. So let's talk about what people can expect. What's gonna happen? What's gonna be the worst case scenario? Let's say this whole thing is over, everything is back to business, because, well, there are businesses that were told to shut down. There are businesses that have been told to continue operating. Talk of Toyota, because they manufacture beer and drinks, they've been told they are an essential service.
Oh, they are.
But there are those small businesses that will not operate. What can be the worst case scenario, and what should they expect, and how can they also cushion themselves so that they cannot run into losses?
I don't know if they can do anything to cushion themselves, honestly. Here's the sad part about our economy. Our economy is a hand-to-mouth economy, mostly.
Okay.
Right. So it's unlike in say let's take the US economy, right? Our companies operate with a cash flow that will last them a really short period, and you know we're making profits, but like it's hand to mouth profits, right? So it's hard to predict what's going to happen after this, because I think if this hits us hard, it's going to hit us super hard, right? I'm glad it's coming when, you know, there's a few promises of treatment coming in from, you know, a few places. There's some hope that something might come soon. I'm glad we've had that leeway, but if this continues for a month, people don't have to wait until the end of the month to see the full effects. Like, people are gonna start seeing the effects of the lockdown the day after tomorrow, really.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was talking to a friend of mine about how people are going to be remunerated this month. Are people going to get their salaries? I don't know how companies are doing it, but I think people will probably get half salaries and stuff like that. Because, like, who can...
Yeah, that's... that.
Yeah, because, like, people are not in business. Right? Companies are not in business. People aren't going to work. So it's going to be hard. Just like, if you look at how it's hit the US, a brother of mine has a friend who called him the other day. She's in Washington, D.C. She called him the other day and told him, man, my work just called. My employer just called and I'm jobless now. I don't know what to do.
Dang.
That's what's going to start happening. Like, it's not even far from happening. It's definitely going to start happening.
Okay, so we're looking at a scenario where an employer is trying to avoid the burden of salaries, because the employee is gonna say, I still want my salary. So for them to avoid that, they're gonna start retrenching people.
Yeah.
And telling them that, okay, interesting.
Yeah, we'll put them on leave. People are gonna be put on leave. And then when your leave days run out, because it's bad. And no one can come out winning out of this. Like, we're at war. Everybody
will definitely win in this.
Pardon my French, but everybody's screwed.
Somebody who wins.
Yeah, nobody's winning. Because, like I said, we're at war, right? Okay. And we're at war. Well, we're at a war. We're in a war which we're ultimately going to win, I believe, against the disease. But in terms of the economy, nobody's gonna win. Employers are gonna lose. Workers are going to lose. Entrepreneurs are going to lose. Except for the entrepreneurs who are smart enough to come with ideas right now, because this is actually quite an opportunity. But anyway, story for another day. But yeah, so especially for employers and employees, it's going to be pretty hard, because if you're going to look at it, basic business, you're in business to make money, and in the process of making money, you're supposed to fork out a lot of money. But then right now, a lot of businesses are in a situation where they're being forced to fork out money, because they have to pay their rentals, they have to pay their salaries, they have to pay all these various expenses that they need to cover, but then they're not getting any money coming in, right?
Okay.
So that's companies losing. At some point, one company after the other is going to start trying to cut down on those costs, and unfortunately, salaries make up a huge fraction of costs. So, you know, workers are going to be laid off, and yeah. So that's the worst part. And then for indigenous entrepreneurs who are running, businesses that depend on moving volumes to your clientele, and they're forced to be indoors right now. That's also a huge loss of business. So yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, are we going to see a scenario where a lot of employees are likely to be retrenched? And is it in the Constitution? Is that not a crime in a way?
To be honest, I don't know about the law. I don't know law. I don't know labor law. I'd be lying if I tried to venture into that territory. But I don't know if it's constitutional, but I'm sure right now, because if this goes on for 3 weeks to a month, and there's still uncertainty of when it's going to end, definitely a lot of companies are going to start looking at how they can go around this. So obviously, at most contract workers. Contract workers would be with the highest risk, and then I don't know how the law functions, but yeah.
Okay, that's really interesting because it's quite a tough time for a lot of people. I was talking to a lady who had just got recently employed, I think 3 weeks ago, and this whole issue came into play, and she was asking, am I even going to get my salary? That kind of thing, because of this whole issue. And also to think about those contract workers that you're talking about also, I think they are at a risk where they'll never get a salary, because their employers might just say, we have cancelled your contract for now. Then they can do that, I think. But anyway, if we were to switch the angle right now and look at schools, we have the United States. They face the same problem that we have, and they have improvised in terms of like how their students are gonna start learning during this period, right? We have a scenario where a lecturer is sending out assignments to students using the technology. We have lecturers doing things even like exercises, that PE physical exercises being done on like using technology, right? And I saw from this one tweet a lecturer from the United States showing how he asked these students to improvise using whatever they could find in the house to do those exercises. But then we come in Africa here in Zimbabwe, right? I hear the University of Zimbabwe is trying to come up with a model where their students will learn from their homes. But also we are looking at a scenario where probably 30% of them do not have access to something that is very simple like WhatsApp, right? Yet we're asking them to start learning online. Probably 60% of them do not have things like a laptop, right? Yet we are asking them to start learning online, which is a huge problem, right? Because it's gonna affect a lot of students who live in remote areas, who come from places like Gokwe, where sometimes even the internet itself is an issue. Yeah. So how can we then go about it? Because this is a solution that works in the first world country, and not in Zimbabwe.
Yeah. So, to be honest, I think that's the best way out of this, because, like I said, that nothing is normal for anyone right now.
Okay.
No one is in a comfortable place.
Okay.
So a lot of sacrifices have to be made, and a lot of tough choices have to be made. Tough decisions have to be made. So about students having to learn online and in a situation where they don't have access to the internet and whatnot, there has to be some middle ground, right? Because here's what the position of the university is. They've got an academic calendar, right? January, whatever, August to August. I'm not sure if they still have February intake, but they've got an academic calendar, right? Which, by the way, is in everybody's interest. If I start in August, I'd rather finish in August. I'd rather finish in normal time, right? I don't want to do 1.5 years, 2 years, just finishing off my first year of college, right?
Okay.
So that means we want to keep the ball rolling, right? But how do you do that when people are at home? The best way to do that is the internet, right? Now, you're a student. You want to finish your academic year in a year. How do you do that? The best way is to try and pull all threads and get access to the internet. So
no, I do understand what you're talking about.
Yeah. So as much as it's hard, I think it then comes down to how the university implements it. They can't expect someone to be online for 3 hours, right?
Okay.
So they need to share the lecture material, the learning material. They need to share it in a manner that shows an appreciation of, you know, the different economic backgrounds that we have, the different access that we have. So yeah. But I think it should be done. Yeah.
All right. And it is rumored that the ministry was talking about Form 4s repeating their academic year, and I don't know how to even think about that, because it causes havoc, right? If you tell the Form 4s that are supposed to sit this year to repeat, yet there are Form 3s that are coming in that are supposed to also come in to be Form 4s, what's gonna happen? Because if you do that, then that means that you're telling everybody who's not Form 4 and below to repeat.
Yeah.
And it is a cost also to parents. It's kind of a dilemma.
Yeah, it's a huge dilemma. Like I said, it's never going to be comfortable for everyone. No, for real. It's never going to be comfortable for everyone. And I'm not being insensitive, but it's just the way it is. Like, I don't know. I don't know how you deal with Form 4s.
2020 is cancelled officially. we're not having goals to be reached. There's no more goals to be reached. No more all of those goals that we had when the year began. 2020 is cancelled.
The best prayer I've seen this year is someone who also tweeted, like, it was a two-word tweet. It was just April. Please.
April, it was April, please.
Yes, like April, please, man, please. All the other months have screwed us up. Please save us, man. Yeah. So it's just funny. People they always find a way to bring some humor in the midst of. Yeah, that's important. You know, like, I think that's important. Because now,
right?
It's very easy to be stressed right now.
Right.
It's easy to be stressed. You've got work that has stopped. You need to finish your stuff. You need to finish some work that you were working on, but then you can't because of everything. If you turn on the TV, the news is all about death. Yeah. So I mean, I'm not saying that you shouldn't care about what's going on out there, but you know, it's good to take a moment and you know, ignore everything. Like, appreciate every other thing that's in. That's it.
Yeah, that's very important.
Yeah,
that's very important. That's very important. And I think it's a depressing moment for a lot of people. Also, there's some things that we cannot even see that is not coming up in the surface. Issues of people who are getting depressed, alone in their homes and stuff like that. But also to mention how people are laughing at married men. And so this other joke. This guy was saying that I now understand good name because did you manya go get. It's a tough time for everyone, and we just hope that everybody is coping up. And if you're listening to this podcast, make sure you let us know how you are coping up with this period. We're talking about the COVID-19 and how it has affected a lot of people, which is very important that during this period you don't get depressed. And if you do get depressed, find somebody that you can talk to so that you don't have those other thoughts. And also remember to stay safe because it's very, very important. And visit our website to see some of the content that we have posted about the COVID-19 and the 7 steps that you should always follow so that you are safe from COVID-19. Yeah, Tinashe, your last words.
Stay home, everybody. Stay home. Stay home, but stay positive.
Yeah, true.
This is a nasty time, but you know what? Stay home, stay positive. Make a few TikTok videos, send them out, let us all laugh around. An appreciation to everybody who's working all around the globe. Man, people are putting their lives at risk.
Yeah, true.
We want to
clap it up for the doctors.
Those guys
nurses,
are true heroes.
Everybody who's working. Yeah,
those guys are true heroes. So,
and actually, on that note, I just want to talk about our police force and whoever was deployed to make sure that everybody is behaving. Okay, I think they are putting excessive force, right? I just think they should take it a little bit lighter.
It's hard to comment on our police force's use of force.
Are you afraid they're gonna come to your house?
No, not even. But like, it's something that we've stressed over and over and over and over,
and
it will never stop happening. So like, it's frustrating, to be honest.
Yeah, so share this message if you're listening to this podcast with anyone from the police force. It does help so that they can listen also and understand that it is very important. Sometimes somebody does not just like storm out of their house to say, I just want to go and see what's happening out there. They do have something that they have to do, and they have to understand that a lot of people live from hand to mouth. From day to day. So we hope you're listening, the police force and everybody who has been deployed, to make sure that everybody is behaving through this period. Do not worsen the already stressed citizens of Zimbabwe. Yeah, and from the 1% podcast, we just want to say thank you for listening and stay safe.
Take care, everybody. Confidence, stay safe, man.
Thanks, Mlanda.